Guys, how's it going out there? Rooster in 10, roostercb.com. You guys know when I get a new shipment in, a bulk order of amps or radios, I try to do a little video just to let people know what is available and back in stock. I'll try to keep it pretty brief. A lot of times I'll generally go over and make recommendations for radios to run with each, but I've been considering just putting on the website kind of a guide for these transistor amps because I get a lot of questions every week. Hey, what amp goes with a 447? What amp goes with a 655? You know, so on and so forth, which I don't mind answering, but I could probably save you guys a lot of time and save myself a lot of time if I just had like a link I could send you that has a kind of general guide for all these amps. So let me know if you think that's a good idea, and we'll get that together on the website. You know, for example, if we've got a 400 HD, you know, I would just put the basic drive recommendations for that. So you would have to know how much power your radio does, which is something everybody should know anyway. If you don't have a watt meter, you certainly do not need to be running an amplifier in any case, in my opinion. All right, let's jump into it here. We'll talk about each one, and we'll get these listed up on the website here tonight or tomorrow. I've had a lot of people asking about different amps. So here we go. Carl Builts, a good shipment of Carl Builts in. Left to right, we'll start. We got a couple of 454, two-pill 454 amps. One has sideband, one does not. Those are going to handle your basic tuned radios, your 30 to 40 watt PEP radios. You may put a little more in them, but that's at your own risk. But around 30 to 40 watts peak should be plenty for those. And they'll give you, 275, 300, give or take, PEP out. Next is the 200 HDC. One has sideband, of course, one does not. Those have two 2879Cs in them. And those you're going to be able to hit with anywhere from 50 to my personal recommendations, about 80 watts PEP. And then you'll end up seeing, of course, generally somewhere between, really just depending on the drive you put into them, anywhere between 450 and probably 650 watts PEP. I have seen some do more. I've seen some do over 700 if you're hitting them pretty hard. But again, that's all up to you. Now, the 200 HDCs, as I've mentioned before, they come in the same cabinet as your 4 pills, your 6 pills. So they're in an oversized cabinet. Really nice amp there, the 200 HDCs. Next is a 400 HD. Both of these have sideband. Again, these are the second from the right here, the stack second from the right. Those are 400 HDs. They have standard 2879s, and they do have a sideband built into them. Now, you don't have to run them on sideband, but what I tell people sometimes is, even if you don't have sideband, don't be hesitant to buy an amp with it, because it's going to help the resale down the road. It's, you're going to have a little bit more resale value. So you don't have to run sideband on it, but it's there if you need it. So I got a couple of 400 HDs there. I think when I put this order in, I had 3 or 4 400 HDs without sideband, so that's why I didn't order any without. But that's going to be on the next order. So a couple 400 HDs, nice shape, nice running amps there. You can put 100 watts into those, PEP, 120 watts PEP. Generally see somewhere between 800 and 900. Now you can run less, that's all up to you. Next is going to be the 400 HDCs, the ones on the far right there. Those are the same amp, except they have 2879Cs in them. And the easiest way to explain the difference between 2879s and 2879Cs, the Cs will do about 30% more power, give or take, and they'll handle about that much more drive. So you put about 30% more in them, they'll do about 30% more. They will also handle more voltage. I generally tell people to keep it below 16.5. Personally, about 15.5 to 16 is plenty for me. But again, there are people that are running them at 16.5 and talking on them every day. And with those, I mean, in all honesty, you can expect, anywhere from 950 watts to 1250, 1300 watts. I have seen some of those do crazy numbers. People put 200 watts, 250 watts into them, and they show some wild numbers on the watt meter. But again, when you're overdriving them, you're leaning more into that, making them where they might be transmitting on other frequencies other than where you're talking. Really, about 180 watts PEP or swing going into one. 150 watts is fine, 180 is fine. 200 is probably okay. but really right there in that 150 to 200 is where you want to stay with the 400 HDCs. Last but not least, sitting on top is the 600 HDs, the two that are sitting on the very top of the pile there, and those are your straight 6-pill 2879s, straight 6 transistors for those that want the proper terminology, and those are going to take about the same amount of drive as your 400 HDC, and as a matter of fact, they're going to do about the same power. The only difference is you want to stay at 15 volts or less on the 600 HDs. So again, 150 to 180, 200 watts swing or PEP going into those 600 HDs is fine. And they're going to give you in the ballpark somewhere between 1,000 and probably 1,250, 1,300 watts PEP. Again, some people get them and they say these things are doing 1,350. Some people get them and say they're doing 1,100 or 1,150. It really just depends on how much you drive, what kind of power supply you have going to it. If you're running in a mobile, you know, the type of wire you're running to your supply source. If you're running 4 gauge, you're running, you know, 2.0 or whatever you're deciding to run. That can all play a part in how much power you see out of these things. But under optimal circumstances, the 600 HDs around 1,200 watts PEP, the 400 HDCs about the same, the 400 HDs around 800, 900, the 200 HDCs, you know, 600 watts, 600 watts, and then the 454s around 300 watts PEP, 275 to 300 PEP. That's it, guys. We'll get these listed up. Of course, I'll always take individual pictures and get these listed up on roostercb.com. And again, I did post them on the Facebook group as well, the Rooster Radio Connection Facebook page. I snagged a picture of them and posted them up there. So if you guys aren't a member of that page, check it out. Sometimes I will post pictures of stuff that's coming up for sale before it makes it to the YouTube channel. Not always, but sometimes we do that, just something a little bit different. Have never really done the Facebook thing with radio too much, but figured I'd just create a page for the heck of it. Sometimes it's easier to post, you know, messages and post pictures of stuff there than YouTube. So that's it, everybody. Have a good day. Rooster and 10, roostercb.com. Hope you guys are enjoying the hobby. See you, bye.